You're preparing to embark on your upcoming cruise adventure. Your luggage is ready, boarding passes are in hand, and your anticipation couldn't be higher. However, there's a catch. Certain items you've packed may be denied entry onto the vessel. Maritime companies have discreetly modified their regulations for 2025. Items previously deemed acceptable, such as electrical outlet expanders or wireless audio devices, could now trigger security alerts. Having sailed on over 30 voyages, I've discovered that each year introduces fresh complications. Minor policy adjustments that can transform a seamless boarding experience into a nerve-wracking screening process. After watching this video, you'll understand which 12 items and behaviors maritime companies have officially prohibited in 2025, along with strategies to prevent becoming the traveler who discovers these restrictions at the worst possible moment. We'll examine each issue systematically, from basic luggage errors to recently banned technological devices. Believe me, the final item is something that even experienced sailors never anticipated. The contents of your bags at the departure terminal will determine whether your holiday begins immediately or whether you'll be providing explanations to security personnel. Item 1. Electrical outlet expanders and multi-socket devices. This restriction surprised numerous travelers. Multi-socket power strips and outlet multipliers, identical to those commonly used in hotels, have become officially prohibited on multiple prominent cruise companies, such as Royal Caribbean and Carnival. The justification is fire hazard potential. Maritime vessels operate with exceptionally delicate electrical infrastructures. A single electrical spike from an inexpensive travel adapter can disable circuits or strain the wiring within your quarters. For many years, most voyagers successfully brought these devices aboard. Some passengers even relied on versions marketed as maritime approved. However, during 2025, both Royal Caribbean and Carnival revised their official banned item catalogs, and these adapters were included. When security personnel discover a power strip in your belongings, it will be confiscated and retained throughout your voyage. Additionally, claiming it has surge suppression capabilities won't change the outcome. Such devices are actually more prone to being confiscated due to their internal voltage management components. The intelligent solution is this: pack a USB-based charging station instead. Without surge suppression features or electrical outlets, only USB connection points. These are compact, sanctioned, and appropriate for any cabin configuration. This minor modification yields significant benefits. When you depend on a multi-outlet adapter for your photography equipment, mobile device, and portable computer, eliminating this concern before your trip even commences is worthwhile. Before we continue further, you can download your complimentary cruise luggage preparation guide using the link provided below. It's been revised for 2025 with all new limitations already indicated. This will prevent that "did I overlook something?" panic at the terminal entrance. This is the identical guide I reference before each voyage. Now let's proceed, because the upcoming modification impacts one of the most prevalent travel accessories passengers still pack. Item 2. Mobile routers and networking equipment. For years, seasoned voyagers utilized portable Wi-Fi routers to distribute connections among family members or enhance shipboard internet speeds. Those days are over. During early 2025, maritime companies officially prohibited mobile routers, communication satellites, and all private networking equipment. Royal Caribbean's regulations classify them as equipment that disrupts vessel functions. Carnival implemented comparable wording several months afterward. The justification is logical. Contemporary cruise vessels depend on sophisticated internal networking infrastructure. From navigation bridge functions to crisis management, even compact routers can create overlap with protected signal bandwidths and generate disruption. You might wonder, however, it's merely a miniature travel router. What damage could it possibly cause? The difficulty is that these devices automatically transmit signals that can reverberate throughout the vessel's internal network. Security personnel can identify them immediately, and upon discovery, they're confiscated and retained for the cruise's duration. The wiser option is utilizing the vessel's authorized Wi-Fi packages. They're imperfect and occasionally sluggish, but they're secure and completely incorporated into the shipboard infrastructure. Certain companies even provide messaging-only alternatives for communication applications, making connectivity both economical and dependable. This is a subtle modification, but it indicates something more substantial. Maritime companies are increasingly defensive of their digital systems. Similar to airports limiting wireless equipment, vessels are restricting how passengers establish connections while sailing. There's an emerging pattern here: communal areas, collective security. The subsequent prohibition extends this concept even further, because this restriction isn't regarding what's inside your luggage, it's about what emerges from your luggage. Item 3. Wireless and portable audio devices in common areas. Music constitutes an element of every excellent holiday. The ocean sound, the rhythm of deck celebrations, that one companion who plays island music excessively. However, during 2025, Carnival implemented a significant policy modification. Personal speakers are no longer permitted in communal spaces. This encompasses wireless, portable, and Bluetooth varieties, including those miniature clip-on models. What's the reason? Disturbance. Following numerous passenger grievances about volume competitions between parties on pool areas and balconies, Carnival chose to implement a modification. It's currently included in their official safety documentation section. All personal audio devices are retained at security checkpoints and released at your voyage's conclusion. This isn't merely an ambience concern. It involves maintaining atmosphere. Maritime companies aim to maintain peaceful, communal settings. They're constructing vessels for tranquility, not rivalry over musical selections. When you desire to experience music, you can continue using headphones or the entertainment features integrated into your cabin television infrastructure. Certain contemporary vessels even feature Bluetooth-compatible mirrors that connect individually to your equipment. Zero noise affecting other passengers. What was previously standard, transporting a compact speaker to your balcony or spa, currently risks having your property seized. Trust me, nobody desires to dedicate the initial day justifying a speaker to security personnel. Maritime companies aren't attempting to complicate matters. They're simply responding to how travelers utilize technology. Each year, additional devices arrive aboard, and the objective is preventing all of them from creating conflicts, both literally and metaphorically. These updated regulations represent that transition: reduced hazards, fewer disturbances, more pleasant sailing experiences. However, we're only beginning, because the upcoming prohibitions extend beyond convenience and begin addressing security, transportation, and even confidentiality. These are the regulations most voyagers never contemplate until they're already positioned at the security screening device. Therefore, continue watching, because what follows includes items most individuals still presume are completely acceptable to transport. That's where the genuine surprises emerge. Maritime companies aren't exclusively banning technology. They're also strengthening regulations on what you can prepare, mix, or even supervise inside your quarters. These modifications appear minor in documentation but become significant during packing. Let's begin with one that previously escaped notice until this year. Item 4. Food processors and immersion blending devices. Smoothie enthusiasts, pay attention. This one's a potential prohibition, but it's becoming increasingly strict annually. Maritime companies like Royal Caribbean and Carnival already forbid compact appliances that produce heat or utilize rotating blades, encompassing coffee machines, water heaters, and warming plates. Although blenders and immersion blenders aren't explicitly identified on every catalog, numerous travel publications and traveler accounts indicate they're being identified more frequently during luggage screenings in 2025. The justification is straightforward: security and liquid accidents. Quarters feature limited electrical outlets and restricted airflow. Even a minor leak or obstructed motor can activate an electrical failure or fire detection system. That's sufficient for security to remove the item. Therefore, although the regulation isn't recent, the implementation is. Consider blenders as belonging to that identical elevated risk appliance classification: acceptable at home, not worthwhile at sea. Your superior alternative? Utilize the vessel's cafe or beverage counter. Most contemporary vessels currently provide fresh nutritional blends and specialized coffees. No disorder, no sanitation, no hazard. It's one fewer item to transport and one reduced possibility of activating an alarm before morning meal. Item 5. Infant monitoring devices. When sailing with young children, you've likely depended on an infant monitor. It's recognizable, reassuring, and integral to every family pattern. However, here's where circumstances become complex. Infant monitors aren't explicitly listed on every maritime company's banned items section. Nevertheless, Multiple travel accounts and traveler experiences indicate they're progressively being identified at security during 2025.
Why?
Because most infant monitors broadcast radio transmissions, and those transmissions can create overlap with a vessel's internal communication bandwidths. Even a minimal power unit can generate disruption with the vessel's crisis or navigation infrastructure. That's why numerous security personnel currently classify them as limited equipment, even when the regulation isn't documented in prominent text. Not every vessel implements it currently, but the hazard is substantial enough that transporting one could result in having it retained until departure. When you desire reassurance, utilize the vessel's internal telephone infrastructure to communicate with relatives in adjacent quarters. On contemporary vessels, the maritime company's authorized mobile application enables passengers under identical reservations to message one another. No radio transmissions, no disruption, and no security inquiries. It's an inconvenient modification for guardians, but it's reasonable. Maritime vessels function on meticulously controlled bandwidths. Every transmission, every frequency serves a purpose in security. Maintaining them unobstructed means quicker reactions during crises and more peaceful evenings for everyone aboard. Regarding security, the upcoming new limitation isn't about messaging, it's about transportation. Item 6. Electric scooters and small motorized vehicles. The year 2025 didn't introduce a completely new regulation here, but it did bring more rigorous implementation of one that's been existing in the uncertain category for years. Private electric scooters, motorized bikes, and numerous electric bicycles are currently being classified as limited items on multiple maritime companies, including Royal Caribbean and Carnival. Not the accessibility scooters utilized for health purposes, those are completely authorized with proper documentation. This pertains to leisure riding devices individuals use for harbor discovery. Why the increased enforcement? 2 justifications: battery security and overcrowding. Lithium-powered scooters have been associated with fire occurrences in airports and marine terminals, and maritime vessels are taking zero risks. Even when deactivated, their batteries can experience excessive heating under pressure or moisture. Beyond the fire hazard, confined vessel corridors and elevators render these equipment a security concern for both travelers and personnel. Official websites don't specify electric scooters in every catalog yet, but travel warnings and direct accounts verify that they're being removed by security with growing regularity. Therefore, when you're organizing harbor activities, the more intelligent decision is renting at your destination. Most significant harbors currently provide sanctioned electric scooter and bicycle rentals that satisfy land-based security requirements, so you maintain the mobility minus the seizure hazard. Consider it as exchanging a bit of autonomy for substantial reassurance. Because once your scooter receives identification and gets removed, you won't encounter it again until the vessel anchors back at origin. We've reached the halfway point, and the upcoming prohibitions are where even experienced cruisers become surprised. These aren't historical regulations, they're the subtle modifications most voyagers overlook until it's too delayed. Therefore, continue watching because what follows determines whether your voyage feels peaceful or tumultuous. Item 7. Private unmanned aerial devices. Drones have consistently been an ambiguous territory, but during 2025, maritime companies are establishing the regulation explicitly. No drone operations while sailing. Royal Caribbean, Disney, and multiple others re-stressed existing prohibitions, reminding passengers that drones cannot be launched, operated, or controlled anywhere aboard, even for individual photography. You can still transport one for land activities, but it must remain in your baggage while the vessel is navigating. Why the intensified attention? Smaller, more affordable drones mean more individuals attempting to utilize them from balconies, pool areas, and exclusive islands, generating security hazards for emergency exercises, prohibited zones, and natural habitats. Security personnel currently scan baggage for drone components and retain them until departure. When you neglect to announce it, you could forfeit both the drone and your boarding authorization. Therefore, the communication is straightforward: leave aerial operations to the commander. Experience the scenery. No remote management necessary. Item 8. Portable radios and two-way communicators. Two-way radios were previously the preferred instrument for relatives and parties aboard, but during 2025, high-power and extended-range units are being discreetly limited. Contemporary vessels utilize numerous identical radio bandwidths for personnel communications and security infrastructure. Even compact equipment can unintentionally disrupt those frequencies, particularly units with multiple frequencies or amplified power. Not every two-way radio is prohibited, but when security identifies a unit that creates overlap with limited ranges, it'll be removed and retained until your voyage's conclusion. The more secure selection. Utilize your vessel's authorized mobile application. Most maritime companies currently incorporate integrated messaging capabilities for minimal cost or complementary. No interference, no disruption, and no hazard. It's a minor transition that maintains transmissions unobstructed and everyone more secure. Because when the navigation bridge requires clear frequencies, you desire their communication arriving through cleanly. When you've watched this extensively, you're the variety of voyager who desires more than superficial guidance. You desire to comprehend the reasoning behind every regulation, how to obtain improvements, prevent novice errors, and render every journey more pleasant than the previous. That's precisely why I established the Cruise Smarter community. It's entirely complimentary, and it's where I distribute everything I cannot incorporate into these videos. Comprehensive packing analyses, concealed cabin strategies, recent policy modifications, all in a single location. When you desire to master every aspect of cruising, from improvements to concealed advantages, participate in the Cruise Smarter community using the link provided below. It's where voyagers transform into specialists and every journey feels simple. The upcoming 4 are where the authentic surprises commence. Let's begin with an item most individuals never conceived could be regarded as a danger. Item 9. Electric warming blankets and temperature devices. Here's one that surprises numerous first-time cruisers. Electric warming blankets and heating cushions, even the compact travel-sized ones, are currently officially prohibited on most maritime companies. Royal Caribbean catalogs them under combustible items and temperature elements in their banned policy. The justification is straightforward: fire hazard. In a maritime quarter, even a miniature heating element can experience excessive temperature rapidly, and there's nowhere for that temperature to dissipate. Security doesn't create exemptions for automatic deactivation or minimal voltage. When it produces temperature, it receives identification. When you require additional warmth, eliminate the device. Request your cabin assistant for an additional blanket or transport a lightweight thermal garment. Significantly more secure and substantially less probable to conclude in the seized items container. It's a minor specification, but one that maintains every voyage functioning pleasantly, peacefully, and fire-free. Item 10. Wax candles and exposed fire sources. This restriction isn't recent, but it's one maritime companies never become lenient regarding. Wax candles, aromatic sticks, and anything featuring an exposed fire source are absolutely prohibited across all prominent maritime companies, including Royal Caribbean, Carnival, and Norwegian. You'll discover it explicitly documented on their official banned items catalog under fire dangers and temperature elements. The justification never modifies. Fire represents the singular greatest hazard while sailing. Even a compact wick or glowing aromatic stick can activate smoke detection systems or, more seriously, initiate a cabin fire. That's why these items are consistently removed during security examination. 0 inquiries, 0 exemptions. Therefore, when you prefer establishing an ambience, utilize LED artificial candles or electronic fragrance distributors instead. They provide you the illumination and aroma without the peril. It's a straightforward substitution that maintains your quarters comfortable and your personnel secure. Because when your distance is from coastline, zero flame genuinely signifies zero flame. Item 11. Cabin entrance embellishments and imagery. Embellishing your cabin entrance has consistently been a component of the maritime enjoyment. Birthdays, commemorations, themed voyages. However, during late 2024, Carnival discreetly began implementing restrictions on specific entrance imagery following a widespread dispute over inverted tropical fruit emblems. Currently, to clarify, maritime companies haven't prohibited all entrance magnets or embellishments. You can continue personalizing your entrance with notices or photographs. What's modified is implementation around unsuitable or confusing imagery. The inverted pineapple, once perceived as a cheerful tropical representation, is extensively acknowledged as a subtle indication utilized in the alternative lifestyle community. Following multiple occurrences where relatives protested or published widespread videos, Carnival reportedly requested passengers to eliminate such embellishment. There's no official regulation against general entrance magnets, but personnel staff may request items be removed when they generate grievances or are deemed suggestive. The intelligent decision. Maintain your cabin embellishment straightforward, family-appropriate, and simple to eliminate. Adhesive strips and flat magnets are acceptable. Simply prevent imagery that could transmit the incorrect communication. Cruising remains about enjoyment, not bewilderment, and an uncluttered entrance maintains the positive atmosphere continuing. Item 12. Surge-suppressing power converters. For years, individuals disputed this restriction didn't matter. Certainly one individual surge-suppressing converter is acceptable, they'd assert. However, not currently. The regulation is currently unmistakably explicit. Surge-suppressing converters and power strips are prohibited on prominent maritime companies, including Royal Caribbean and Carnival. Royal Caribbean's official banned items catalog explicitly references power strips, prolongation cables, and surge-suppressing equipment. The justification is straightforward: security. Those integrated fuses can experience excessive temperature or disable a vessel's electrical circuit. In a confined cabin setting, that's an authentic fire hazard. Even converters designated as maritime approved aren't assured to succeed inspection currently. Security personnel are directed to eliminate any item with observable surge elements or restart mechanisms. Currently, when you require additional outlets, the secure option is a USB-based charging station. No surge suppression, no outlets, simply reliable power. It's a minor modification that maintains the vessel's electrical infrastructure stable and your equipment, and holiday, functioning pleasantly. These 12 modifications demonstrate where cruising is progressing. More intelligent infrastructures, more rigorous requirements, and more secure journeys. They're not about restricting enjoyment, they're about guaranteeing every voyage functions pleasantly for everyone aboard. Therefore, when you prepare for your upcoming voyage, contemplate less about what you can transport and more about what you don't require. Because when your luggage succeeds security without a complication, your holiday commences the instant you advance onto the platform. Currently, before we conclude, a brief reminder. You can obtain your complimentary cruise luggage preparation guide using the link below. It's completely revised for 2025. It's the identical guide I utilized before departure.